All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. It's Friday. It's Goal Getters, and I'm your host, John Restaino, and John Fadel next to me.
Hello, John. How are we doing tonight?
All right. Easter weekend, huh?
Yeah,
it
it's
came
here
fast.
again.
Yeah, I know how fast it came. Well, anyways, we're going to get everyone set up for Major League Baseball, but first, we had a great guest. We pre-recorded this on Tuesday, John.
Yes.
And because our guest was Zig Furkassi from Sirius XM NFL and NHL host. He's from Niagara Falls too, right? Local guy.
Yes.
And WNSA 107.7 is where you would have known him in the past.
Yes.
So, but Zig is you'll hear him, and what do you think? His knowledge is pretty unprecedented.
Very good knowledge of the game.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting to hear from him, too.
Yeah, the players, the insight, the whole thing. I mean, you'll hear it. And I can't wait for you guys to, to take care of it. Well, we're going to give it to you. It's about a 45-minute interview we had with him. After the interview, we'll be back. We'll do a little MLB preview, give our picks. And Wade's going to take it away and bring it on to Zig.
See you guys in a flash.
All right, everybody. Well, I'm happy and proud, John, and extremely excited to have our guest, Zig Furkassi. Now, Zig is a local guy. I'm going to say this real quick before we get into everything, and he's made it really well in this broadcasting, right, John?
Yes, sir.
And thank you.
I followed him.
Oh yeah, we call a show. We used to call a show. WS. What was it? WNSA.
Yes, sir.
I remember one of those FM channels, 107.7, something like that. If I remember.
Exactly.
Yeah. So here he is, Zig Furkassi. How you doing, Zig?
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, Zig.
We're doing all right. Beautiful Western New York day. It's going to be 68 today and 39 tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Snow and rain.
you know how it goes. But
every other day.
All right, Zig. I got some. Let's get into this because we got limited time, and I want to throw a lot of just bounce stuff off of you because there's just so much. Let's start in the NHL, and I have to start there because I have no choice. But we got to go with the Sabres, who lost last night 4-3 in overtime. And geez, they have lost now. What is it, John? 18?
18 in a row. Soon to be 19, probably, I guess.
Yeah, and my question for you, Zig, to start off, is as you're an outsider because you're not here in Western New York anymore. What is the perception? Because I know the perception here for us, it always goes back to the Pagulas. Don't want to spend money on management or coaching, right, John?
Yes.
And Jack Eichel. What is your perception of the Sabres?
It's not very positive around. There's almost like a sense of empathy. You listen to the different talk shows. I know I do some appearances on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the belief is there's like a sense of empathy. There's like, well, you want to see them win because of the fans. Because let's face it, they do have good fans, as you guys know, in Western New York. I think there's a few layers here. One, as good as the Pagulas team combo to run the Bills, they have not found that same management team to do the Sabres. So I think that's an issue. Another one is player development. They do have some good young talent, but it seems like it stagnates. Then you bring in some veterans who maybe were on their last rope, so to speak, like an Eric Stahl. You'd have thought maybe you'd have brought some leadership in there. He wasn't very productive. Eichel being in the past about issues in the workplace with the Sabres. Is it toxic? Does that stream to the front office through even the ranks, the secretaries, whatever the case may be? You cut down your scout players. I'm not sure you keep Eichel because he's probably your franchise that at one time used to contend, at least in the playoffs, but they've been irrelevant now for more than a decade. And I imagine if you're a Sabres fan, it's got to be very, very upsetting.
John?
Yeah, it's been that way for a long time, Zig. Like,
Because you will hear certain people say that I'm not in the dressing room, John, you're not there, we're not around them, but I don't know, is he a problem? Is he not? Is he just, he's going on his seventh year already. He's no longer a kid.
6th year.
And what is it? Is he a coach? Coach killer. We talk about that all the time, and I think us on the outside probably don't really know. But Zig, I know you talk to people. What is the perception of Eichel?
I think he's still a pretty good marquee talent. But I think what tends to happen is a guy like him maybe came out of school a little bit too early because he didn't play very long at Boston U. They did make the NCAA final that year against Providence, but they lost in the championship game. So he probably figured, I'll just make this seamless transition to the NHL. And unfortunately, he did more losing in 1 or 2 months than he did in his entire.
I have to agree with that.
Kind of mindset, I think, tends to creep in. Yeah, and then what also happens is, did they surround him watch him? Doesn't tend to play a 200-foot game, like when the play is going away towards the Buffalo. Warning sign right there. The great ones play the 200-foot game. So I think all in all, it's been sort of a snowball effect with Jack Eichel. If they still plan on keeping him as the franchise, you're going to have to get guys in there that have been productive. We got to get them to want to play in Buffalo, first of all, but you got to get free agents in there that are good leaders, that show the way, and Eichel can feed off of that. If not, maybe you cut your losses, trade your most marketable player, but then what you got to figure into a team that can absorb that cap hit, and you're not going to get full return on him anyway. So it's almost like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't with Jack Eichel.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Sometimes I used to compare him, and this is probably a terrible comparison, to Phil Kessel. I just had that feeling about him in a way, like almost like he needs. Maybe I'm wrong though. It's in 6 years. I just don't know if he could ever be the guy. Like, does he have to have someone be the guy, and like Crosby to Malkin? I don't know. There's something about. But what do you think of that?
I think there are guys that are overdrafted, and that's the case where if you're the number 2 overall selection, you're supposed to be the franchise guy. But you know as well as I do, it takes guys to blend in and also assimilate with others. Now, you mentioned Phil Kessel, JR. Here's a guy that my Bruins selected, had a decent run. Turned out, but your point being is Kessel really didn't become, I think, confident in his role until he went to Pittsburgh, where he could be just one of the guys because he didn't have to be Malkin or Crosby. He could play with them, and then hence he had some success, once a couple of Stanley Cups there. So the point being is there has to be that intangible, like a Crosby. He started to build things up, and obviously Malkin was there the year before, but the point being, I think made guys around him better. Maybe Eichel doesn't make guys around him better. simply guys going to have to be selected top 5 or whatever it may be, but it just depends on that intestinal fortitude. And the Penguins did surround Malkin and Crosby in later years with some, good veterans, Pasquale Dupuis, guys like of that ilk, Nick Bonino. That's why they were able to succeed, because they knew their roles and they could Crosby and Malkin could lean on them. So maybe just a case of too much is expected for a guy that, quite honestly, you need 19 other guys to help row the boat here to make it a team success.
Yeah, absolutely. I was also thinking about what you said about playing a 200-foot game, and your guy, I know you're a fan of Bergeron's one of the best ever at doing that. Playing the 200-foot game. I mean, he's the best that there is. And I'm watching McDavid and Matthews last night play against each other, and both of those guys have learned. Matthews has really learned to do it this year, which is putting him in the same category now with McDavid in a way. Like, I always thought there was McDavid and then there was Matthews, and I feel like now Matthews has maybe took the next step. And Zig, you're absolutely. I mean, the 200-foot game is. I mean, it separates you, right, John? I mean,
Yeah.
From the greats.
Yeah, if you want to be the guy, you got to be the guy from day one, not like 5 or 6 years later. You got to be there right from the get-go, like your Mario Lemieux and guys.
Yeah.
Like Yager and all them guys. They score 40 or 50 goals every year. And
the thing is that and Zig, I gotta say that you gotta be like that on the ice. It can't be just the first 100 feet. Offense is fun, defense isn't. So I have to agree there. My next question for you, Zig, is this: goaltending in Buffalo, in my opinion, is neglected. I mean, I don't know if you can be, Allmark and who else? Carter Hutton, right? Is that his name?
Carter Hutton. And,
you can't. I mean, I know. Look, I know the days of Hasek are gone and all of that, but I want your thoughts on their goaltending situation. It's been horrible for 10 years since Ryan Miller's gone.
Well, they had a great goalie coach too, Mitch Korn. He's in Washington now too.
Oh well,
and that was a big difference there.
Yeah, that's a great point you make there, and you got to have the resources to be able to do that. I think it also showed, Buffalo was spoiled there for the longest time. You have arguably the greatest goalie of all time in Hasek, and I think anybody's going to fail in comparison. Although Ryan Miller, gosh, guys, you're 40 years old, he's still playing out in Anaheim, but yeah, he hasn't been bad. There was a ring towards the right direction, I think, with Anaheim. But to your point, Allmark and the kid, you got to cut him a little slack here. The poor guy's dad passed away this year, so I'm sure he's been dealing with that. But still, he was a guy that came highly regarded. But if you don't have the defense in front of you, you could be 6'8", but you could still allow goals if the guys are getting into the sweet spots. And then in the NFL, it's J-A-G. It's just a guy. And unfortunately, that's what, a lot of people think of Carter Hutton at this point. And then, what was it, the kid Johansson? Yeah. He winds up getting released, and he goes to Colorado, and I think he won his first start there. So goaltending, unlike past years, guys, is not a strength in Buffalo. And if you don't have that back end, you could have 12 world-class skaters out there, but if your defense and this year, so when your best defenseman is affected too, it kind of has a trickle-down effect on the rest of the unit, and then I think that spreads to the goaltending, which you need it to be really good, and in Buffalo's case, it hasn't been.
Yeah, yep. Now I want to let's move off the Sabres, and I want to ask you some stuff about what's might happen come trade deadline time. And here's a guy that I don't like him, but I would love him on the team that I root for, and you're going to know about him, obviously, Jake DeBrusk. When I heard that he was on the trading block, it stunned me because I don't follow the Bruins as closely as you would. So when I hear him, what's going on? Is it just not score? Let me know. What's going on with DeBrusk?
JR, here's a guy who, if he had even an iota of his dad's toughness, he might be a 40-goal scorer every year. Of course, his dad, Louis DeBrusk, had a he made his notes in the NHL as a tough guy. Now, I'm not asking Jake DeBrusk to be a tough looking for speed. He's got a world-class shot. When he's engaged, you saw that unbelievable goal he scored against Carolina in the playoffs last year. When he's at that mode, guys, he's unbelievable. But he's also been a guy that's had to be a healthy scratch, who at times has admitted that he hasn't been motivated enough to play. So if I hear that, I'm like, wow. And the people in Boston always first draft where they took Zaboral, Jake, and then also Zach Senyshyn in back-to-back picks. When, of course, afterwards, you could have had Kyle Connor, you could have had the kid from the Islanders, Barzal. So that's the dialogue in Boston that never goes the way, what could have been 2015 draft, because guys like that were behind them. But the fact of the matter was, it was Don's first draft. They tried like hell to trade up to 3 to get Hannafin, who's in his first full year, he's made strides. Senyshyn starting to make strides, but it's taking a little too long. And then you got DeBrusk. I think the fear is, guys, if you trade DeBrusk, then all of a sudden, if he goes to your aforementioned Leafs or wherever, he becomes that 35, 40 goal scorer. And then people in Boston would say, well, there's another one that got away, like Tyler Seguin and all that. But the fact of the matter is, and he's been on COVID too recently, so he's got that going. As consistent as he should have been. He's 2 years removed from that 27-goal season. They need more out of him. If not, then maybe Don does move him at the trade deadline for what's perceived to be another underachieving forward, because the Bruins need scoring desperately.
Right. Well, you got something, John, on that one?
No, I agree with everything Zig says on that.
Yeah, I love DeBrusk, though. Mm-hmm. I remember a big goal he scored against the Leafs in one of the playoff beatings, and I was always impressed with him. And then I hear this, and I don't follow him enough. But another question, another player I want to ask you about, and this came up kind of out of nowhere to me. Nick Foligno and God, why am I going to forget his first name? But the defenseman Savard in Columbus, and
David.
Yeah, wow. I mean, Columbus is still not. They still have a chance to make the playoffs, and this is an I mean, if you want who I want Toronto to get, give me them two, and I'm good. They don't have to have anyone else. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts on those two players, because I kind of like them.
Foligno, obviously the son of Mike, who was a fan favorite in Buffalo for a lot of years. His brother Marcus has also had a nice career. I think what's going on in Columbus is just, it becomes a situation. I think there's too much credit or, reliance on Torts. And it seems as though whether it's been the kid that was traded to Winnipeg, Dubois, haven't been able to keep. You wonder at times if it's Torts' way of, I don't know. He seems to like almost poison the wells, unfortunately. And yeah, he's got the cachet of being a cup coach, and he's taking teams to the playoffs, and his style is what it is. But I think, there's almost a fatigue there with him. So Foligno's a guy that he's never going to score 40 goals in a year, but you're going to get a responsible game out of him. And he wonder if he's lost in the blue line there. I know Zach Werenski gets a lot of attention, and obviously the kid Seth Jones, I think, is a top shelf defenseman in this league. So you get a lot of guys making a lot of money, and Columbus, I think, has to look at themselves. All right, say if they are right there in the playoff spot, but is it fool's gold? In other words, well, we're 4 points out or 2 points, whatever the case may be there. But is it really that? Columbus, I'm sure at some point's got to decide what they're going to do with their future, with some of their younger players. Line A hasn't worked out for them after that trade, so those two guys I could see possibly being moved. And maybe Columbus thinks that they're more towards a rebuild than they actually are in terms of being a playoff contender.
Yeah, I'm thinking exactly about Tortorella, what you said. It feels like he has about a 3-year, 4-year shelf life. I mean,
Yep.
when I saw Dubois traded for Laine got benched twice, and there was a game that I was watching where they blew a 3-goal lead, and he didn't play the last 8 minutes, and then all of overtime. So it's got to be Tortorella's probably he has to have worn out his welcome, and probably I don't know where he could coach. Could you imagine him coming to Buffalo? And he's going to coach with Eichel, or he's going to, I don't think it worked. I don't know, man. He's done well, but how does it work with the young player now?
Yeah.
The new guys. He wouldn't work with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. I mean, I can't see Tortorella coming in there. So I don't know. It's definitely.
He's got a target on his back too, just like a player does. So I'm sure the word's out on Torts wherever he goes. Players they might not want to be playing under him.
I also think some of the problem I see with him is it's like his show. I feel like he takes over the whole thing from the players, like almost like he reminds me of Ditka a little bit back in the days there, where it's him. He's the story. But what do you think, Zig? If he gets fired, does someone hire him, or do you think it's done for him?
It's a good question. I'm like you mentioned, Buffalo. I'm sure the fans would clamor. Oh, and don't forget he was one time Amherst's assistant too. So there is a tie-in with the Sabres at one time. But is he really the one that you want sort of guiding the ship, or do you go possibly the NCAA collegiate ranks?
Right.
There's been talk about that up here
in Providence. And Scott Sandelin from Minnesota Duluth, where they won that last national championship in 2019 right at First Niagara Center. And, his teams play a very structured style, and his guys are, on rosters everywhere now in terms of the National Hockey League. So I would think, unless you're a team that thinks you need that edge to get over the top, I don't know if I'd touch Torts with a 10-foot pole.
Well, I want to remind everyone, with Zig Furkassi, you can catch him on XM NFL, Sirius XM NFL, Sirius XM NHL. Oh, God. I think you're doing college hockey stuff, right? This week in college hockey. Are you still doing that, Zig?
Unfortunately, JR, I'm not. I had been for a few years. I still follow the college hockey game, but just between my NFL duties and, of course, my update duties during the week at Sirius XM, it gets to be quite taxing. So, unfortunately.
All right. Before we run off to real quick, and I'm so glad you're here with us. I got to speed it up. We're going to go. I want to ask some NFL stuff, but right now in the NHL, sure. I have my top 5 teams, Zig, as Colorado, Washington, Carolina, Tampa, Las Vegas. Who are your top 5?
Well, I don't know if I could disagree with any of those, to be honest with you. Colorado. Flipping back and forth. The Capitals seem to have really found their game, obviously. And, they had all this success without Tom Wilson, who was suspended 7 games for the Carlo hit. It's like they didn't miss a beat. Now, again, we've seen this, though, with them in the regular season, but then when the playoffs roll around, somehow it gets to be a bit of a mystery. So I'll be interested to see if the young goalie there is able to, sort of hang on. Colorado, especially McCarr and McKinnon, oh my gosh, they skate very well. So I don't know if but your order, JR, is right around probably where I would have it. I didn't think of to make one, but Vegas is right there. They had a nice win last night against LA. They were down 1-0 and then scored 4 unanswered goals. Very balanced team. And then Tampa? Yeah, they really missed Kucherov, huh? Oh my gosh, my gosh, they're without arguably the top 5 player, and there's Carolina. was Carolina, right?
Yep, Carolina.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they're extremely solid, and that's a team there. Between Svechnikov and Aho, Dougie Hamilton, who's really routed into a top defenseman, and they seem like they've got a goaltending glut there. If Buffalo wanted to kick the tires on one of their goalies, offer a medium or higher round pick to get one of them, because I think Carolina top 5 or 6. Unfortunately, gruesome injury to Ekblad the other day against Dallas, and I met him years ago at the Stanley Cup Final, and really nice young man, and was really having a hell of a year. You talk about a hell of a coach. Joe Quenneville finally got that underachieving, talented team to finally start playing consistent hockey. He'd be one of my contenders for Coach of the Year for what he's done with that franchise.
Oh, I love Quenneville. I remember when he played for the Leafs for a little bit when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I always wanted to see him. I actually wanted Bruce Boudreau at one time because I remember him, but I don't know. But Quenneville, the Leafs got rid of Quenneville. Ended up where did he end up? Like Colorado or somewhere? I just remember going back to those days.
Yes.
I guess no one really cares, but let's go to the NFL, Zig, because I'm going to start crying if I continue to think about Maple Leaf hockey. Let me go to this now, Zig. NFL, Miami Dolphins, Eagles, 49ers, that trade. Wow. And wow, that's all I can say. And at one point I thought, I know this is my take on it. Then you can, if you disagree with me, jump in here. Okay. The Eagles, I thought for a while there, really didn't know what they were doing. They got rid of Wentz, they got rid of Peterson, and I was like, wow, I thought it'd be one or the other. And now I thought they did a really good job here, getting that first round pick next year.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins, what a haul. What do you think, Zig, on that whole incredible deal?
JR, the other day, I was doing my update shift, and I started writing about that first trade that was made between the Dolphins and the 49ers, and then I get one of my bosses telling me, hey, now there's this other trade. So I'm literally writing my top of the hour. That's how wild that this was. Few layers on this trade. It's clear now the 49ers are moving up, obviously, to that third spot. The indications are it's not going to be Fields, but it'll probably be the kid Trey Lance from North Dakota State. Apparently, they're very enamored with him at this particular point in time. The Dolphins at 6, it shows me that they're committed to Tua. I think that with some of one of the Alabama receivers, or Chase out of LSU, who, by the way, might be better than the kid the Vikings took last year, Jefferson, who only had, 100 catches last year. So he might be better than Justin Jefferson. So Miami's committed to Tua. And again, the haul with the draft picks, and with the Eagles at 12, that's going to be an intriguing one, because would Mac Jones last that long? Does Fields last that long?
What about that Wilson kid from BYU?
Legend from the Dallas Cowboys. Wilson doesn't last past 2.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to the Jets. I think they're enamored with him. And I was with Gill. He was saying he's seen evaluations with Fields as either 3rd overall, or he's talked about there's a team out there that actually has him in the 4th round. Shows you how polarizing this kid can be out of Ohio State.
I'm hoping, if that were to be the case,
they gotta clean up their mess.
I'm just hoping Fields drops enough so the Bears can take him at 20. I mean, that would be outstanding. But we'll get into them in a minute, because. But I'm glad you said that, because I was going to ask you about that. Lawrence is 1, Wilson 2, Lance. Who does he remind you of? Trey Lance. Is there someone you can compare him to? Because we don't watch him. I haven't seen him play but once. And say, who does he remind you of from the past or from currently?
Well, that one's I've seen him a little bit. I guess obviously a little bit in terms of size and arm strength, maybe a little bit like Wentz, little mix of Cam Newton, maybe a little mix of Garoppolo. So a few different guys there. The thing I'd be concerned about is that he only played the one game. They only played the one game last year.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, John, like your guy there in Chicago, who's now at the Bills, Trubisky, but I'm told in terms just of overall talent, it's not even comparable between Trey Lance and Mitch Trubisky. So he's got intangibles. There's no question about it. I think that's why the Niners traded up for him at number 3.
Trubisky, in my mind, Zig, it wasn't his fault the Bears drafted, did what they did and picked him number 2. And like you're saying in hockey, he came with it. Number 2 means you're number 2. You can't, and he wasn't prepared to be the second pick overall. He
got rushed into things there.
And he just wasn't. And he had that good game, that playoff game against the Eagles. If it doesn't double doink, it's a whole nother story maybe on how people perceive him. Because that was a hell of a game he played in that playoff game. And I don't know. Mitch, the Bears, really, there comes a time where you got to cut loose from Ryan Pace. I don't know how much more. McCaskies don't care anymore. I don't know what's going on there. Zig, do you know any more about the Bears than I do? I mean, McCaskies, I'm hoping they sell the team. Give me some info on them. Andy Dalton made me, I know he's okay, but what do you know, if anything?
Well, everybody kind of poo-poos on Andy Dalton. I would remind people that he took the Bengals to the playoffs 5 straight years. And think Bears may being apathetic. How about Cincinnati? I mean, my gosh, I remember Jonathan Joseph when he was a free agent going to Houston saying, like, when he went to the Texans, there was a whole thing of Gatorade stocked in the locker room. You could take as many as you want. With Cincinnati, you had to pay for them. Now, where is this in the discussion? I mean, the point is the Bengals run everything so frugally. And when you look retrospectively on things, the job Marvin Lewis did there to get this team to 5 straight playoffs was when you surround him with a good cast, he's a good quarterback. He's not a transcendent figure by any stretch, but he's a solid veteran. He's good in the locker room. I mean, last year he came into some dire situations in Dallas. Poor guy winds up getting concussed. He winds up getting COVID. You, me, and John and everyone else could be the offensive line for the Cowboys last year. That's how wretched that was. So is he going to, make people forget Sid Luckman or Jay Cutler or whatever? No. But he's serviceable. Right. And with Montgomery, who I like in that backfield, Robinson's one of the best receivers in the NFL. They upgrade the tight end game and shore up that line. Everybody's casting aspersions on Andy. You're going to deliver, 12-4. I don't know about that, but there's worse out there than Andy Dalton. Let's leave it at that.
Right. John?
Yeah, I got something to throw at you, Zig. What do you think about that 17-game schedule they're talking about right now?
Inevitable. This is something, John, that they've been talking about for a lot of years because the NFL, they realize, people want to watch the games. Now, since we saw the 14 to 16 games, 16 to 17, it creates more revenue for the league, more fan interest. You knew this was coming. Now, if the NFLPA was so adamant about not wanting it, I would have fought it big time, but you saw this coming, so it's going to be part of the I think it's going to be voted on this week or next, if I'm not mistaken, with the owners, which I think it will definitely pass. And then you're going to have 3 fewer games. Yep. You're not going to have a true 500 team, really, so I think it'll create a lot of interest. And I think, what is it, JR, I think your Bears would play in Vegas if that was the 17th game on the recent formulas. So I like it. I think it's going to come.
At home against Washington.
Yes, that's right.
Our guy behind the glass here. Go ahead, Wade. You got a question?
Zig, I liked how you brought up Marvin Lewis there, and how he did so great
Right.
for the Bengals, but yet, what's really truly sad to see in my mind, isn't he an assistant offensive coordinator now at Arizona State? Like, what do you think that Marvin Lewis should be back in the NFL as a head coach? And if you see him as that, what team do you think he could help build like he did with the Bengals?
Well, Wade, I think with the I don't see that as any kind of sort of demotion. Actually, if you look at what Herm Edwards, accomplished NFL coach and, of course, miracle at the Meadowlands many, many years ago, Herm Edwards has himself a pro staff out there. I think Antonio Pierce, the former Giants linebackers, is out there. Kevin Mawai was on his staff before he left, the Pro Football Hall of Famer. So he's almost got a superstar array of coaches to mold young men out there at ASU. I think Marvin had interviewed for the Lions job, maybe the Texans, if I seem to remember right. So I don't know. I think it would have to be.
What was it last year, year before, how he was interviewing with the Cowboys, and the Cowboys took the old Packers coach, which I just thought there was a big night
McCarthy
difference from, and I would have rather had Marvin Lewis as a coach than I can't think of the name.
McCarthy.
Right.
I think Tony Dungy's a director out there. Is that true?
That I'm not sure of. He's probably sort of a friend of the program there, John, but I don't know if he has direct involvement with ASU, but they make it clear they do have an all-star team there. And again, I think the cachet, just to answer Wade's point about McCarthy, I think Jerry was looking to make sort of a sizzle hire. McCarthy sold him maybe a bill of goods. But he has a Super Bowl cachet. I don't think it has anything at all to do with race or any of that type of stuff. I just think Mike was looking at a Super Bowl cachet coach, or Jerry was looking at Mike as a Super Bowl cachet coach, and who's also been to championship games where Marvin hadn't been. So, unfortunately for a good friend of mine, Mike Nolan, got blown out as defensive coordinator, but they tried to change the defense there too fast last year, cost him his job. I think Dan mistake, and with some good health and Dak returning, I think Dallas makes a run at it in the NFC East this year, and maybe justifies the hiring of Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. I felt the same way you guys about Lovie Smith. As far as I was concerned, he could have stayed in Chicago, but now I think he got fired from Illinois this year.
Yes.
So we'll see where he winds up, because
He should be somewhere.
He's with the Texans.
Oh, is he
defensive
with the Texans?
coordinator? Yes.
Coordinator, Texans. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Zig. Speaking of the Texans.
Hey, anytime.
Yeah. Speaking of the Texans, and I'm not going to get into the charges. I don't want to get into all that. Deshawn Watson, though, I mean, oh God, obviously you can't move him now. And what's the thought on him, man, out there, Zig?
Well, what is it? I guess now the lawsuits are going to be up to 20, if I'm not mistaken. But, again, this is an absolute fiasco going on down there. Again, I still find the timing of this to be a little bit bizarro, because Watson, I guess through his agent, said he wants to be traded. Yeah. And then, oh, by the way, all of these lawsuits start coming up. So, again, I don't know if there's any chicanery going on in the Texans organization, but this team, you could probably do, Days of Our Texans. I mean, that's how flawed and soap opera-ish this team is. And this goes back, guys, more than a year. Go back to the playoff game, up 24-0 at Kansas City. Then they start getting cute. After that, the Chiefs have an avalanche and look like the Chiefs and, blow them out when it's all said and done. Then they hand O'Brien, who I don't think much of as a coach or GM, they handed him all this power. You alienate a lot of your players in the locker room. They ultimately trade Hopkins, the DeAndre Hopkins, the wide receiver. You get a bag of peanuts in return for him. You make the trade for Tunzel, and you give up all that capital for an average tackle. They start the season like crap. He ultimately gets fired. Watson had signed his contract by then. You get rid of a very competent PR person there, Amy Palchich, because of culture issues. And then J.J. Watt, after the season, decides to leave.
Yeah.
Through a lot of chicanery going on there. Cal McNair is not as thought of as his father, Robert. So there's a lot of mess going on there. And now you've got this. And then you bring in a coach, and I hope David Culley does well, but the guy's never been a coordinator. So that raises some flags with me. And it's right now, you're looking at an absolute mess. And then this legal stuff with Watson certainly doesn't help matters.
Yeah. No doubt.
Have a lot of them in
Zig Furkassi, for everyone that's wondering, he's a guy from Western New York and has done incredible in the whole sports talk. You'll find him. Go to XM Radio. He's a star over there. NFL, NHL, the whole thing. We're very. I mean, Jesus, thank you for coming on our show. Before we got to let you go, though, I want to go to one other thing. It's March Madness. And as of now, as we're talking, it's Baylor and Houston are in, right? They're in the final. Wow, the 17-game schedule. You know, football's never been... do you remember? Of course, you remember Zig. I know you guys all here remember. Do you remember, Wade, when it would just be Monday, Sunday football? Yeah. That'd be
yes.
it.
It's going to be every day of the week.
I know. It's unbelievable.
It was this past year.
I have one more question for Zig.
All right, ask him another question. Go ahead, Wade.
Go ahead, Wade.
Now, what I've seen in the Chargers organization, and just there was great football being played. Some very questionable calling on Coach Staley's part. Do you think Staley is a coach that deserves his position at the Chargers? They haven't let him go. I mean, the Chargers, I believe, to get over. They were in almost every game last year, besides that Bills game where they got blown out. But there is a team right there that's could be the team of the future if guided correctly.
They're on the rise, for sure.
So, like, what do you think?
Well,
what needs to be done in the Chargers locker room to get over the hump?
Well, I don't. Let me correct you there, Wade. They actually changed the coach to Staley.
Oh.
He is the he. We're making the points about was Anthony Lynn, who had been a Bills interim head coach, if you remember, a few years. No, that's good. And you're absolutely right, though. That was the criticism on that team, that there were too many instances where they were botching games at the end of the half, mismanaging the clock, and even towards the end of the game. So your points were valid, but that's why they brought Staley in, the Rams defensive coordinator. I think Herbert's got a chance to be something really special. Coordinator that they already had there, Steichen, but they let him go, and now I think it's Shane Day who's going to be running the offense there. So I would have liked for Herbert to have that continuity, but my gosh, you got skilled people everywhere. You're going to upgrade the offensive line. I think the Chargers are going to be good to go going forward. And there's a guy, should this team have selected this quarterback? Should the Dolphins have selected Herbert instead of Tua? You're going to have that debate because
Right. All right, Zig. I want to get back into the Final Four real quick before I know we got to let you go. Houston Baylor is one part of the Final Four, right, John?
Yes.
And tonight, Gonzaga versus USC, Michigan versus UCLA. Do you feel that any of the can Gonzaga or Michigan lose tonight?
You know, college hoops as much as I used to, but I do know that Juwan Howard has done a terrific job at Michigan. I think UCLA may have overachieved a little bit this year. Although, it's funny. You mentioned those two teams that are in the Final Four already. Gosh, bring out Phi Slamma Jamma. Bring out the old Southwest Conference banners. How freaking cool is that? Yeah. But I would say this. This has to be Gonzaga's to lose. I mean, they seem like they're the to the Washington Capitals in hockey. Yeah. Up there every year in this and that, but they always find a way to lose. But then the one year they finally got over the hump and beat Vegas in the final, which was Barry Trotz's greatest coaching job. Can they dial that up with Mark Few? They seem to have the most depth, the most talent. This might finally be the year that they finally got to get over the top as Gonzaga.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be historic because they'll be undefeated and all of that. Now, the other thing is, real quick, Zig, and I'm glad I wanted to hear what you had to think because, the only thing, I thought USC might be able to. I might be able to, but I think, and I'm forgetting his name, and we may all forget it, but the kid there, he'd have to score 30 points tonight and have like 20 rebounds to beat Gonzaga, and he might go number 1 in the draft. Yeah. And horribly, I'm sitting here and don't know the name. Being a sports, that's probably where I should be fired. Zig, the next thing I want to ask you before I let you go, we got to talk about the Reds real fast.
Boy.
Yeah, well, wait. I was looking at the pitching. I mean, I like Castillo. There's nothing not to like about him. I don't like Wade Miley, but even their top 5, you got Winker, Castellanos, Votto, of course, Suarez, and Moustakas. I mean, what do you think? It's viable. It's all right. Extra wild card. Is there any chance for the Reds?
I suppose. You've got. I think the National League Central isn't as strong as it once was. I mean, the Pirates, my gosh, their entire payroll is less than Trevor Bauer's salary this year. Let that marinate for a second. The Brewers, I think, have. The Reds did make it last year. We'll be interested to see, JR, how they replace Iglesias as the closer. I think if it's me, I give Amir Garrett the closer's role for now. I think Doolittle was a nice add in the bullpen. But the Reds, and I read this description in one of the magazines, they're almost like a beer league team. It's feast or famine. They could hit 8 homers one game and then strand 20 runners the next. So if scoring runs with runners in scoring position, then I think they could contend. They do have a younger staff. I think Molly has got a chance to be really good. He's been on the come for a couple of years now. What are they going to do with Lorenzen? They're going to use him as a starter / reliever. They still have questions to go there, but I think they could contend a little bit. I still think the Cardinals are the team to beat in the Central, but the Reds, again, if that offense is going par years, if he could do that, then somehow I think they stay in the chase.
Yeah, and I think the National League's tough this year too. I think it's the superior league. I mean, just with the Padres, the Padres are going to be so fun to watch. I look forward to seeing them.
Don't forget the Winker kids. He's from Niagara Falls too.
Yes, he is.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Zig, I want to thank you for being with us today and giving us all this time. I appreciate it. The fans here appreciate it. The people of Western New York appreciate it because we remember when you were here. John, you really remember. He used to call you all the time. And
when I was a younger guy.
Yeah. And so
that's right.
Really appreciate it, Zig, and hopefully I can reach out sometime you come back with us.
John and John, always great to be with you. Always love the Wedge Coffee Shop. And, of course, JR, we go back to when we were kids. Give your brothers and your folks and all the family my best, all right?
I will. Thank you, Zig. Have a good one.
Thanks,
Take
Zig.
care.
Thank you so much.
All right, and we're back. John, what even now?
I'm here.
What do you Robin's here, Wade's here. And at this point now, John, great interview, huh, with him?
Oh, yes. Very well. I mean, I like what he had to say and everything about the games that are going on and what's coming up with the NFL draft. So
Yeah,
He
he's
knows his stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he told me in a message that he'll come back anytime. So we'll definitely reach out.
Oh, yeah.
And get him back on here because you can't beat that when you can have access to somebody who has access to the players and has access to the coaches.
And he's
Yeah.
a great guy, too. Just,
Yes, just all around.
Yeah.
Yes, nice guy to
Good
talk
guy.
to. And
So we were very lucky, and we thank Zig for coming on with us. Well, let's get into our what we're going to do here for a short time, and that's going to be our Major League Baseball preview. John?
sure.
All right, well, here's what I want to do. First of all, yesterday it was opening day.
Opening day.
The Yankees lose 3-2. Let's discuss this. And I don't know if, Wade, if you realize what they've done in baseball. Do you see what they do when they go into extra innings now? This is horrible. Extra innings, all right, so we're going to go to the top of the 10th. What they do is they put a guy on second base. Automatically starts with a runner on second. So I got to speed up the game, I guess, because of last year's issues with COVID, and they wanted games to go quicker, and the season was shortened. Well, it's 162 games, and we're still doing it. Your thoughts, Robin, quickly.
I gotta tell you, I hate it, and I agree there's some things that they should do to make the game go a little faster to appeal to, the next generation who can't sit still through a whole game, but this is a huge mistake. It's terrible.
John?
Yes, I agree. It's terrible for the sport. I think they should just do away with it and let it be and go back to what they were doing before. I mean,
Suggestion for speeding the game up, possibly? Like, well, in the NBA, they got a shot clock. Maybe we need a pitch clock before you, about 30 seconds or something.
They've done it.
Okay.
They've done not. I think they don't do it anymore now. Is it still going, Robin? I don't think so.
so.
Where
No,
it
it's not
was
going.
in between pitches, you couldn't. You know how many pitches would walk off and everyone would step
Yeah.
off. That's a good point. The other thing is they do now is you can only throw. No, they're not. This is in the minors. They're
Right.
where you can only throw over to first base twice in a bat.
yes.
So that's interesting. But for me, this reminds me of how the NHL has gone to the shootouts, which I hate. 3-on-3 overtime is basically a gimmick because every time down the ice it's 2-on-1. Because once the guy misses one way, puck. If you shoot it too hard off the board, you got to break. You got a 2-on-1 the other way immediately.
And then, or you got a guy hanging on to the puck too,
Right.
and he takes forever
Yeah.
behind the net or what have you. It's like, I just don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
I like 4-on-4.
4-on-4,
Yes,
yeah, and
absolutely.
no shootout for me. 4-on-4, no shoot. But anyway,
God forbid they should ever put the shootout into the playoffs.
it'd be done. I don't know. That'd be the one thing I don't know if I could do.
Yeah.
That would be tough for me. If it what are you gonna do this in baseball
Yeah.
in the playoffs? You're gonna put a guy on second
Yeah.
I know, it's crazy.
to figure out a World Series? I don't think they are. There's no way they can do
No.
that in the playoffs. But all right, let's stick with baseball where we're at. You know what I want to remind everyone though today, and this is something I found. This is way off topic, but I wrote it down. Do you know what April 2nd is? This is not sports related. Does anyone know what April 2nd is in here? No.
Good Friday.
Well, today, yeah, this year it is. Yeah, that's right. This is something. It's Autism Day. It
Yes.
is International World Autism Day, and I thought, well, how cool! I didn't know that, and then all of a sudden I saw it, and I'm like, nice.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something because I think that's a good thing. You know,
And it's so
recognize, make people think maybe a little bit, think before they act, think before they talk. Maybe make sure they realize when they see kids, they do stuff. How about just being nice? Because they're just being nice to you. So that was all I wanted to say on
Yeah.
that. You know, so we've watched it where you get kids going up to say hi and they act like jerks. They can't even answer them. So, anyways, but remember that today. That's today. Let's talk about the divisions.
Sure. Let's go.
John, let's start in the American League East. I'm going to tee up a little bit for you, and then I'll let you guys knock it out. All right? The Yankees, You got Garrett Cole. You got Corey Kluber. You got Jamie Talon from the Pirates. And then the bottom half is going to be Herman Montgomery. So you think the Yankees are pretty good in the top two, and Talon could be good. Talon could be pretty good. So then you got to look at the Red Sox as usual. They're nothing. They have nothing. What, Nathan Eovaldi?
No, they're going to be down for a few years, I think. So
because you know what they used to do? Remember this? They used to win a World Series, finishing last. Win a World Series, finishing last.
every 2 years.
Yeah. And so this team, though, has been stripped. When Nathan Eovaldi's your opening day starter, that's tough times. The team in there, you can't ever forget the Rays because
No, the Rays are they're always in there. They're always in the thick of it.
World Series last year. Don't worry about the arena. I know.
Every time.
Yeah, no, please. I know, but they have Tyler Glasgow, and Yarborough, and Waka. We remember from the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And Chris Archer's still there. Mm-hmm. But the sad thing is, Blake Snell, they just let him go.
I know.
Blake Snell walked. But they're still going to have, and they will provide more pitching for the league. Mm-hmm. Let's go to the Orioles. They are tough. They're in tough shape, and it's sad. Yeah.
They used to be a decent team for years and years. Now
constantly. They were always constant.
They're a Yankees thorn in their side for years, and it's like
great teams.
Now they're just losing team.
Matt Harvey is there. You remember him from the Mets?
From the Mets, yeah.
He's there. Their number one is John Means. He could be good. Who knows? I bet you he will be, and he'll end up somewhere else.
When you got to go to the Matt Harvey on your team, you're hurting.
That's tough. That's like Nathan Eovaldi. It's got the same smell to it.
Yeah.
Now the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are. You saw Rue pitch yesterday if you watched the game.
Yep.
Steven Matz from the Mets is there. Tanner Roark from Washington, along with another Washington. And I think a Dodgers guy, Ross Stripling. Yes. He's over there. So now there you go. There you go. We know offensively, the Jays and the Yankees have the best offenses, I think, in that division. That we could all agree, right? I mean, the Jays may even be better. I don't know than the Yankees' offense, but we'll see. Baltimore struggles. The Rays always do well.
Yeah.
Because you know what the Rays do that a lot of other teams don't do in that division? Hit the ball, base hits.
Hits.
Right.
They'll move a guy over. They'll do some of those things that. The Yankee game yesterday.
They play good defense too.
Yeah. Well, the Yankee game yesterday. They had a runner on third with one out. Double play Judge. They had a runner, I think, on second with no outs and couldn't bring them home. So that's been their problem for a decade, and generally why they get knocked out of the playoffs. So what do you guys have? Who do you got, Robin, winning that division?
I have the Yankees with a big if, and that's if they can start getting runners in scoring position to score. I mean, we got to start.
We got to bring them in.
Being able to rely on these big hitters that we have to come up in clutch situations and put runners across the plate because we're not scoring. And
well, it's a home run or nothing, so that's trouble.
Exactly.
That's trouble.
And then I do have just a little side prediction with the Yankees. And I know this is easy to say after he hit a 2-run home run yesterday, but I am predicting that Gary Sanchez bounces back this year.
You better hope so. You better hope so. Hope so because you know what? He can't catch. Maybe he's getting better defensively, but my God.
Yeah.
He struggles. Go ahead, John. What do you think?
I'm going to like the Yankees here to take the division. And Blue Jays will be right behind them, probably right to the end of the year. It's going to be very close. And don't count out Tampa Bay. That's going to be the 3 teams from the East.
Yeah.
They'll be battling right to October.
The Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have a hell of a lineup, and they're young guys, and there's an energy there with the Jays. We'll see. The Yankees, for me, can you ever get Judge and Stanton to play 100 games together? They never seem to be able to play 100 games because they're always hurt. Their best player to me is LeMahieu. I don't know. I look at them, and I don't know. Here's what I think about Judge, by the way. After Jeter left, I feel like they put a lot on him to make Judge be the face of the franchise. Let's make him the captain. Let's do everything else. And just like sometimes in football, it's unfair because it's the organization doing it to him. he can only do what he can do.
Yeah.
And when you're going to try to make him the face of the New York Yankees, you better be ready, or else the flop is hard because New York is tough. So but anyhow, let's move on to the next division, and that would be the American League Central. I'll run down for you guys real quick the pitching, real fast, and I won't go through the whole, but I'll give you at least the top pitchers. Let's go to the Indians. Shane Bieber, excellent pitcher, unbelievable. Zach Plesac, we've heard that name. We know about Plesac, and then Tristan McKenzie, who is supposed to be a possible really sleeper here that could do well. Kansas City, another poor team. This is sad. Although they did get their championship at least. They're on tough times. And they're Brad Keller, never heard of him. Mike Minor, you guys remember Mike Minor?
From the Braves.
Yep, and Danny Duffy, who's it seems like been on the Royals forever.
Yeah.
Detroit. Detroit's got decent pitching right now. Matt Boyd, Julio Teheran, who was with Atlanta, and this guy whose last name is Schubalt. Tarek Schubalt's supposed to be good, so we'll see. That could be 3. You never know. This team, Minnesota, here's a team that always, much like Tampa, is always in it. So
they're a funny team too.
They are.
Every other year, they're either good or they're bad. It's like
they were a thorn.
They're a weird team.
They were a thorn in the Yankee side.
Oh yeah,
many years. So now they're starting pitching. We got a buzz here. Who's buzzing? Are you buzzing?
No.
Who's buzzing? Here's some.
Nope.
You're buzzing. That's all right. Tell them to get. We're on the air here. What is going on? Doesn't it? All right.
Somebody's calling.
Yeah, I calling. What do they want? We don't know.
You should be watching.
I know.
Well, maybe they got something to say. I don't know. Minnesota. Maeda from the Dodgers is one of their guys. This guy's good. Jose Barrios.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. He's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good enough to be Cy Young someday, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Really, really good stuff. And now listen to these other guys. Matt Shoemaker from the Angels. Here's 2 guys, Yankee fans. Pineda and Happ.
Oh, God.
But you know what, though? If they're your 4 and 5,
Yeah.
and your other 2, you got Barrios.
He had so much promise.
Oh, he used to pitch great sometimes.
Yeah.
Remember that he had the pine tar problem, and then the Red Sox did it to him. All right, so there's Minnesota. Let's go to the White Sox, and then we'll get our predictions. Lucas Giolito. He's awfully good, too.
Yes,
Another guy. Dallas Keuchel, we know him. And Lance Lynn, who we all remember. He's probably winding down,
Yeah.
Was he ever a Yankee? No.
No.
Right? No, not one of them guys. All right, Robin. I want to hear the AL Central from you. Winner.
I have a very tight race between the White Sox and the Twins. But I'm going to go with the White Sox just because I think they have higher upside.
John?
I like both teams, what Robin just said, but I'm going to throw a surprise in here. I'm taking Cleveland to win the division there.
Nice. All right. Now the Indians, I'm trying to think. That lineup is still decent. They lost Lindor to the Mets, but good. And the pitching, Shane Bieber's awfully good. That's a Cy Young guy.
They're always in there with their pitching.
Plesac. And there's going to be guys that we don't even know that will end up on, the Dodgers. After they get them ready, they'll go to the rest of the league.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball's messed up.
Sometime
like
in July or August, they'll be there.
Right. For me, I agree with Robin. The White Sox, I like their offense a lot. So let's move on to the AL West, and I'll do the little bit of a pitching thing. The Angels, Dylan Bundy. He comes from the Orioles. Andrew Heaney, who's been there. Alex Cobb, he was decent with the Rays. And this guy, I'm going to say his name, Ohtani, the guy who's going to play both ways.
Right.
Unbelievable what he's been doing in spring training. So I'm going to here's my prediction for this guy. 13 wins, 30 home runs, and bats 300. I mean, this could be, I think it's going to be historic. If he stays healthy, he's unbelievable, in my mind. Okay, so let's get off of that. Houston, Zach Greinke. We got someone named Chris Javier, who I don't recall him. Lance McCullers, and I think it's Christian Javier, I'm sorry. And he might be new. And then Framber Valdez, who both are being said to be could be breakout guys, young guys. We got Oakland, Chris Bassett, Jose Luzardo, and Sean Manaea. So you got them. Seattle, Marco Gonzalez, Yankee fans, remember these two guys, James Paxton and Justice Sheffield.
Oh, yes, they do.
They're there.
Yeah.
Texas, Kyle Gibson, who was with Minnesota. And this guy was good with the Braves. Mike Fultowinix. Right?
It's a hard
That's
name to
tough
say
one.
there.
So let's go to Robin. Who's winning the West?
I've got the Astros winning the West. I think it's a weak division, and they still have a pretty good team, staple players in place, so I'm going to go with the Astros.
John.
I'm going to probably surprise you both here. I'm going to go with the Angels in the West, but I'm sure Houston's going to be in the thick of it.
I think that's not a bad pick because I think they're trying to get Mike Trout back into the playoffs.
Yes.
He's never been in.
Yeah, right.
He's never even played.
Never been in.
And I think they're trying real hard to get him in there.
They got a good team.
Yeah.
They'll be good. I love Ohtani. He's just a star. I mean, and a star just rated, and especially out there in LA. If he didn't get hurt, you know what I mean? Because last year he couldn't pitch. He could only hit.
Yeah.
So for me, I am going with Houston also for all the same reasons that Robin said, and I just think they're still very good. How about, let me get Robin real quick, your wild cards.
I've got the Twins and the Jays.
Twins and the Jays?
I'm going to have to go with the Twins and the Jays myself. So
Yeah, I do too. I have the Twins and the Jays, but I could see maybe the Angels sneaking in there. You know Tampa's going to be on the doorstep of maybe hitting that wild card.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an easy...
No, look out for Detroit. I do like the pitching, and I don't know why Oakland always messes around and gets close.
Right.
And they never have much of anything. So that is the American League. Does anyone want to make a prediction who wins the American League this year? Anyone, you guys? John, you got one?
Sure. I like the Yankees to win it.
Okay.
So
Robin?
I'm going to go with the Yankees as well.
I'm going to go with the Yankees with a very, 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 very not real confident on if they're going to win that division or not.
Yeah, part confidence and part wishful thinking, I guess.
National League. Let's go to the NL East. I'll give you a rundown real fast on their pitchers for everyone out there. Atlanta, Max Fried, Charlie Morton, Ian Anderson. Ian Anderson is a young guy, and Atlanta always has good pitching, don't they?
always.
Yeah, from way back.
And they
when
keep their pitchers.
Yeah.
When they had Chipper Jones, back in the 80s.
They keep their pitchers. Miami, now here's a poor team that is a lot like the other ones we were talking about. I can't even say this guy's name, I don't think, but he's good. Sanda Alcantara. Pablo Lopez and Elisette Hernandez. These guys might be good. I can't wait to see them. They could be good. Now we go to Washington. You got Scherzer, Strasburg, Patrick Corbin, and John Lester is there, the old John Lester. Philadelphia is got Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, ex-Met, and Zach Eflin. Now to the Mets, DeGrom, Stroman, Tawan Walker, and you got Syndergaard will be back shortly from Tommy John surgery, and he's throwing really well. So, guys, what do you got winning the NL East?
I've got the Braves. I think they're the most complete team, but it's a very good division. I could see a number of teams winning it, but I'm going to go with the Braves.
John?
I like Robin's pick, but I'm going to go with the Phillies taking the division here.
Nice.
And they're always in it, so they got a good solid team too. So
yeah, no, they do. They have a real good solid team. For me, I'm going with the Mets. I think they're going to win the division this year. I don't think Marcus Stroman is that great when I look at their staff. I wasn't really crazy about him, but I like Tawan Walker and Syndergaard coming back. So I'm going to go with the Mets in this one. Let's go to the NL Central. NL Central, here is some pitching for you. The Brewers, Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burress. The big thing with them is what they have in the bullpen, and that's Hader and this guy named Devin Williams, and he's called the Airbender because I saw some. My God, the ball drops. It drops more than Mariano Rivera's.
Never saw anything like it.
Yeah.
So that's a 1-2 punch, and you got to keep in mind.
Absolutely. And the bullpen is more important these days than it's ever been.
Oh yes, it is.
Yep. No, absolutely. The Cardinals. Jack Flaherty, Adam Wainwright, Carlos Martinez, and Dan Ponce de Leon, who might be good.
Is Jack Flaherty related to...
No.
No?
Mm-mm. You've asked me that before.
Yeah.
No. No, he's no John.
Foggy brain.
Yeah, yeah. Please, the White Sox. Jake Arrieta, who, or no, that's not. No, I mean the White Sox.
No,
the Cubs. Jake
the Cubs.
Arrieta. Never been the same.
No.
Yeah, I know there's something up with him. Hendrickson there. The Cubs are in for a tough year, I think.
Yes,
maybe.
they are.
Yeah.
They could be in the bottom of
Yeah.
the division there.
That's
They
what-
won their World Series, and I got to hand
Yeah.
it to them. It was 100 years, so you might as well go for it. I mean, they'd love to have Gleyber Torres back, but who cares? They won.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Pirates, sad Pirates, but always making pitching for every other team in the league.
Yes.
Yes.
Steve Brout,
Bro.
yeah, and Mitch Keller. Brout will be good, I'm sure, and he'll end up on the Yankees like Talon. And it's sad, and I think, and this is just going to be a real fast observation, I think Major League Baseball needs a salary cap. Because
Yes, they
I
do.
think that luxury tax does nothing.
Yeah, it's out of
Yeah.
control right now.
Yeah.
So
You got teams, sadly, that are not even capable of competing.
Mm-hmm.
And these are big,
Yeah, I mean,
old-time...
As a Yankees fan, you love it, but I mean, when you
Yeah.
look at some of these other teams that
small market
just,
teams
yeah,
and
year after year,
Can't
they
do
can't
it.
compete with teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees.
NL Central winner, Robin. Who do you got?
I've got the Cardinals with a big if they can stay healthy.
John.
I got the Reds as a surprise there.
Ooh. I wish...
Yeah.
Zig would be happy to hear
Yeah.
the Reds. Okay.
That's like what they've been doing there, and I think this is going to be their year.
That's a team like I think about when it comes to salary cap.
Yeah,
The Reds, and it's sad.
small market
yeah.
team, and
And so I have the Brewers. So we all have someone different winning that division. I do like the Reds, and I didn't even mention them. I messed up. I did not call them out like I should have. Luis Castillo is very good pitcher, and so's Tyler Mahle.
Yes.
Those
Yes.
two guys, and I'm sure the Reds are going to have something else.
I always
Yeah.
like to steal.
Yeah, they're going to be. That's a good call. I think they're going to be
It is a
interesting.
good one.
Let's go to the NL West real quick, guys. Arizona's got Baumgartner. We all know him. Madison Baumgartner, who is aging, but we'll see. Merrill Kelly and Caleb Smith, who sounds like an ex-Yankee to me, but I'm not sure. I feel like a farm guy. I
Yeah.
might be, but I don't know.
Yeah.
The Dodgers, Kershaw, Trevor Bauer, Walker Buehler, and Dustin May, Julio Urias. So there you go. You got them. Okay. San Francisco, Kevin Gossman, Johnny Cueto. He's been around a long time. And Logan Webb. San Diego, Yu Darvish, Ian Snell, Joe Musgrave. Kind of like the guy that Talon comes from the Pirates. Good pitcher. Chris Paddock and Adrian Morjan. Colorado, Herman Marquez, Antonio Sanzalita, and John Gray. So those are your National League West somewhat starting staff. I didn't name them all. Robin, who do you like in the West?
I've got the Dodgers repeating. I think they still have a really strong team, and I just can't see anyone out competing them.
John.
I got the Dodgers myself, and they're going to run away with it. So I think they'll be there
Yeah.
for the long haul.
Now the Dodgers, for me, between Kershaw and Bauer, they have a bit. Those two guys are bigger than a lot of money wise, than most entire teams.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Tampa's. They have those two are worth than what Tampa's paying the whole team. So, you got them. I think the Chargers. Yeah, I think the Padres will win this division. I really like them a lot. I like Fernando Tatis. I like Machado.
They're kind of an exciting team.
I enjoy I like them. I like Ian Snell. I like the whole deal. I'm concerned about my only thing with the Dodgers is I don't know if Kershaw's the same, but we'll see how he does. But I have the Padres winning that division. Robin, wild cards.
I've got the Padres and the Mets.
John.
I got the Mets and Padres myself. So
I have the Braves and the Dodgers. Once again, kind of like the Yankees, I'm putting a little asterisk next to them. I want to see how Kershaw pitches. And I think if they were to falter in any way, there's going to be teams that could be there. I kind of like St. Louis a little, but maybe a little bit. It's such a weak division for them, but we'll see. So that's who I have there. Who's winning the National League?
I got the Dodgers.
Robin?
Same.
You got the Dodgers. I got the Padres winning the National League.
I hope so. That'll be exciting.
So you're talking a Padres-Yankees World Series that the Yankees with such an asterisk next to them, because they haven't proven anything to me that they can do anything in the playoffs for the past 10 years, since Jeter, since all the clutch guys left. There ain't one left, John.
You know
I know.
what's exciting about that, too? You have that Yankees.
Oh, yeah, the All-Star Padres.
Colors from the
All-Star game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that hat. But I mean,
that would be the perfect hat if
Yeah.
it's the World Series.
Didn't think about that. So.
but I could see the Yankees not representing the American League. I really can. I mean,
I can too.
I could see a number of teams. I mean, of course, you throw Houston into that mix, but I don't know if Toronto's got what it. I don't know, but I mean, like, geez, they have not proven. And here's the other thing: the National League, in my mind, is much stronger than the American League this year.
Yes,
This year it is.
Think about some of the teams that you guys might have left off, and I left off as wild cards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking. I mean, the Mets and Braves. That's going to be a battle. Dodgers, Padres.
Yeah.
Milwaukee with you got. We all picked a different team in there, but when you go to the American League, I mean, it's kind of, if the Yankees don't win the American League this year,
There's something wrong there if they don't win.
If they don't win the American League, well, that is our quick MLB preview, because of we had Zig on, so we don't want to be here for 3 hours.
Sure, I'm sure we'll get more in depth as the season goes on.
Let's do this real fast, guys.
Sure.
Saturday is the Final Four. We got an interesting thing. Hold on. We got the All-Texas side with Baylor versus Houston. The other side is West Coast, Gonzaga and Washington, and UCLA. Here's the lines I have, so you're going to have to go with them. You go with my lines.
I've got my own lines.
They don't count. I'm going to go with my lines, all right? My lines.
Better be the same as mine.
Well, please. All right, you ready? Let's go with. Yeah, let's go with. All right, go ahead. I'm going to give you my lines. Baylor -5 against Houston. Gonzaga's -14 against UCLA.
Oh, lucky for you.
They're the same.
All right.
Who do you like?
All right. So, first of all, the Gonzaga USC is the biggest. UCLA, I'm sorry, the biggest spread since 1985, when the tournament was extended to 64 teams.
Oh, that was a good tournament. That was Georgetown, Villanova. That was the whole Big East was in that.
The biggest spread in the Final Four since then.
And I think All right, go ahead.
I like UCLA to keep it close, but the Zags to win the game.
Okay.
In the Houston-Baylor game, I go with Houston, and I think they're actually going to win the game outright.
Who's winning the title?
Gonzaga.
John?
And that'll be the
it's gonna be Gonzaga.
76.
76 with Bobby
Indiana.
Knight and
I don't even discuss it. It's going to be Gonzaga to win the whole thing.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
All right. I love UCLA +14. Mm-hmm. I might do something with it myself.
Yay.
I really like Houston to beat Baylor outright. I don't see why not. I think.
Are you reading my things when I'm not?
I
looking?
think
you must be.
We don't have much time here. Listen. I think Houston's going to win the national championship. That's what I think. All right.
Oh, wow.
So let's. I think something's going to happen there. I don't know what. No one's. Maybe because it's COVID and it's a good time.
The fix is in
to go on. Just to win to not have an undefeated team. We just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
UCLA is going to give them a hard time.
Oh yeah, coming from the 11th seed in a play-in game, it's incredible.
Yeah,
it's almost like they want UCLA to win it.
Yeah.
Man. So we'll see.
We'll see. And now let's give our last. And do you have any picks? Those are your picks, right, for selections?
Sorry, I had a migraine earlier, so that was.
John, what do you got for selections for the weekend?
NHL, I got Washington over New Jersey tonight. Tomorrow, I got Pittsburgh over Boston, and Buffalo over the Rangers.
Ooh, Buffalo. Well, did they win the other? No, they blew it again.
They blew it. They played a really good game,
yeah.
for a little bit. For the whole game, probably.
Yeah,
right, till over.
They played right to the end. And
what was that against the Flyers?
Yeah.
Rangers, Flyers,
Rangers the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The goalie played great. He had 44 saves.
Go online later, anyone out there, if you want to see a good hockey fight. Matt Martin fought Chara. Chara is 41 years old. and he's still 7 feet tall on skates. And Matt Martin, you can see in his face when he's getting ready that he doesn't want to get knocked out.
He doesn't
by
want
a
to beat
41-year-old, but you don't want to get beat. That would be like when Nolan Ryan punched Ventura.
Yeah.
You don't want to have that. And he kind of got inside, but it was interesting. It's a good
I'm gonna
fight.
tell you what, I love Matt Martin, and
Yeah.
I think that the Leafs miss him.
I'm not gonna. All right, maybe you're right. You think they miss him?
I do. Well, I mean, I'm not saying
I don't-
that they can't be successful without him, but they could. Let me say they could use Matt Martin on their fourth
Yeah,
line.
with
A
Wayne
lot
Simmons.
of teams
Yeah.
could use.
Yeah, you're right, but the Islanders are good. The
Yeah.
Islanders are good this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
you're
for
right.
Sure, but I mean,
They are
I
good.
just think he's one of those players that is not only good on the ice, but good in the room and just an all-around good.
He
guy
didn't
to
work out
have
in Toronto though.
for your. I think he would with this team.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Well, wasn't he was there with Mitch Marner and Matthews? But who was? But that was a Babcock team.
Right. And
All right.
we
That's
all
right.
know that
Yeah.
that went terribly wrong.
Here goes my selections tonight: Edmonton and Calgary under 6.5. And I'm going with Winnipeg to beat Toronto. Winnipeg's plus 125. So the Jets beat the Leafs tonight. Unfortunately, we got a butt. Someone's calling you. And I don't know what's
Yeah,
good.
the most popular guy.
My brothers call me.
Yeah.
Ninja, man.
That's all right. But anyhow, there you go. Great show. Again, we thank, of course, Zig Furkassi
Yeah, Zig was great.
for being with us. And we also... Hey!
I'm here.
So, Zig Furkassi, thank you for being with us. Today is World Autism Day, April 2nd. Keep that in your mind when you're thinking of things. Just think about it, every once in a while. Sometimes it's not what it's not what you think out there, people. Pay attention.
And-
Maybe go do some research on it. It's
And hopefully there comes a time where we don't have to have a special day, where just every day is
Everyone's
Autism
day.
Acceptance Day.
Yeah,
Because
that's nice.
how it should be.
yeah. Well, anyhow, you're right. We're gonna wrap
They
it.
also have some
Oh, go ahead.
most amazing talents we've seen. They are musicians. They are scientists.
Yes.
So respect it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Athletes.
Yes.
Everything. Because you know what? You don't. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And on that, let's wrap it up. We'll be back next Friday.
Next Friday.
Ready with goal getters, everybody. See you then.
All right, have a good weekend.
My brother.